You unlock this door with the key of imagination. Beyond it is another dimension. A dimension of sound. A dimension of sight. A dimension of mind. You're moving into a land of both shadow and substance, of things and ideas. You've just crossed over into the Twilight Zone.
Paul.
My name's Andy.
And this is the Unpenned Show, Tuesday the 12th of August 2014. Back to our normal Tuesday slot.
We are.
Now, I've had a very, very busy week reading. I've actually got back into reading, which has been good fun, really. Mm-hmm. But I do find when I read books by different authors, you lose to some extent your train or your way forwards, because you tend to get involved in what they're trying to show you. And then you find yourself cherry-picking from those books, and then you find yourself disagreeing with some of the content. And you think, nothing changes, does it? Nothing changes. Doesn't matter what you read or who you talk to. Whether we like it or not, we cherry-pick the bits we like, don't we?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, but when new facts arise, you've got to change what it is that you actually thought you knew. You've got to change the mind itself. Mm-hmm. Or try and make the facts fit. And you argue with yourself. Which am I doing? Mm. Which am I doing? Am I kidding myself that I know a little more about some things than this author does? Or do I actually say I'm wrong and the author's right? You see the insecurity that it causes.
Yeah.
But you have to hold on to what you know and believe to be true so far, and see if anything can be added, really. Once you apply that to all the content that you actually come across, prepare any of that content to change what you already know. But don't add to it just because you've read it. Just remember that you read it. Mm. Hard work, isn't it?
Yeah.
Hard work. I mean, you're still ploughing through Tragedy and Hope.
I am.
And I've started
yes,
on my copy of it. And these are hard books for us to read, because it reminds us, doesn't it, of our reading age. Mm-hmm. What is our reading age? Well, I know reading, to judge reading ages, it's the fluency at which you can read words of a certain standard. In other words, how big the words are, and how fluently you can actually see them and pronounce them and include them in the sentence without actually breaking the sentence itself.
And it's understanding the big words. I had while I'm reading it, I've got the dictionary out and I'm having to stop and what does that word actually mean?
Yeah, but this diction we've got now is for the diction of Aries, isn't it? Mm-hmm. That's the words that we use today. It's not dictionaries by mistake, is it? Oh. You know, we don't hear it, but there again, we get laughed at the language and how we decode it.
We do.
And yet, what else could it be? You know, if you say, "Okay, you're wrong, guys," and I've checked, I've checked Google and I've checked the dictionary. Who writes the dictionaries? Who writes them? You think they're going to tell you how to decode it? I mean, you spend your days playing Sudoku and the crosswords and find the missing this and find the missing that, and we don't realise that everything that we're doing is a representative of everything that everybody else is doing, and how it's actually done.
Yeah.
We can't accept that the world's in debt because we're in debt. We like to blame everybody else. Mm-hmm. I mean, if we go back to the 1980s when I was just finishing school, I mean, interest rates were in double figures. Buying houses was just for the lucky few.
Yeah.
You know, those interest rates were 9, 10, 11%.
They were.
What were they when you bought a house?
I remember them being that high, and I remember
being told it's £8 £1,000.
Yeah,
£8 or £9 £1,000. That's what your mortgage will be. Mm-hmm. And they were right.
They were, yeah.
Well, that means that interest rates were 8-9%.
I remember the Black Wednesday when they went up to 15%.
But that was a blip, wasn't it? If you look, if you look from the 80s now to where we are today, 2014, even though there'll be a couple of blips in the graph, would I be right in saying that they've actually been falling for your entire life?
Yeah, they have.
Well, of course, falling interest rates fuels greed.
Yep.
I mean, what was it? What was it that actually... We've built what we see to be a successful life, but it's all been fueled on rising house prices.
I remember 10 years ago we were discussing the interest rates. Then they were about 5 and 6%, and we were at junior rugby, and one of the guys there, he was a pharmacist, been to university and all this, that, and the other, and he was thinking about buying a new car. And he said, but interest rates are high, aren't you? And I said, interest rates are high? You're joking. We've never had interest rates between... I said they're at 6%. They're on about dropping them to 5.5.
Yeah.
And now we're at 0.5.
But we don't understand...
Or the bank rate.
I was going to say ours are, yeah.
The bank rate.
And most people are borrowing at 1 and 2% over base.
Over base, yeah.
But what I'm saying is, though, the illusion of prosperity has been built on rising house prices. Well, that translates into money that isn't yours.
Yes.
It's in your house. So we've been using this as a money box.
Yeah, speculative money, isn't it?
Well, the governments have been doing the same thing.
They have, yeah.
They looked at the collective value of what's the infrastructure and houses that we live in. That gets cashed up every year, and that is what the governments borrow upon. That's how they can actually back up their borrowing, and it's our things that we own and our future taxation. In the 80s, government borrowing was something like to insure government borrowing, and governments do insure their borrowing, by the way. They do use their insurers to if they default. If you go to the 80s, I think the late 80s, sort of before the Black Wednesday that you talk about, I think to insure government borrowing was something like 8,000 per 10 million outstanding. But in today's money, or 3 or 4 years ago, to insure the same 10 million, it's £110,000. That's virtually 14 times the
More
rates
expensive, yeah,
to cover a government that may default, so it insures the default. We
beggars belief.
We can listen to our gurus telling us that this money system is going to stop at some point in the future. And we don't think it's going to stop, but we know how it's going to end and morph into the next one, I think. Because when governments run out of our money, I mean, you remember in 2008 when this big crash started, what was the government's advice? What did they say 2 or 3 days afterwards? Do you remember that? What did they say?
I do, yeah. Keep on spending.
Keep on shopping. Don't stop shopping or you'll crash the economy.
Keep doing what you normally do.
Don't stop shopping or you'll crash the economy. It was spending money we don't have on things that we didn't really need that got us into this. And they were doing exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
And they said we can spend our way out of it. Well, that would be good and absolutely correct if you were building infrastructure with money that you had in the bank. But they didn't have any money in the bank, did they?
No.
They actually said, keep on spending so we can. Because we never figure out that we have to spend for them to tax. I mean, one of the ideas, or one of the thoughts behind all the floodings that we've had over the past sort of, well, almost 10, 15, 20 years, we're getting floods now at an ever-increasing pace. And I know a lot of people out there who suspect that these floods are not just acts of nature. And a little bit of research can soon tell you that, the governments around the world and the military have had the ability to make it rain wherever they want it to rain. And to the reverse as well. They can prevent it raining somewhere and basically divert that rain somewhere else. They can take control of rain.
Yeah.
And that's been one of man's major projects for some time, hasn't it?
It certainly
we used to dance for the stuff, didn't we?
Yeah.
and light fires on mountains to thinking that would try and divert it. Lots of things have been tried to control the rain. Well, we've had, I don't remember floods like we've had over the past 10, 15 years prior to that in such regular occurrences around the country. And you say to yourself, okay, if the chemtrails are perhaps, or the cloud seeding or whatever you want to call it, if they are able to make it rain, you think, why would they make it rain? And the last figures that I can find is for the floods of 2007. Don't you remember that when Sheffield and buildings in Sheffield were being rescued off helicopters and all sorts?
Yeah.
And the government actually, the figures are out now and searchable, and the government, they actually offered £36 million in various aid packages and help and ways of getting people back in their houses. But the actual amount of VAT that they actually claimed, because of the spending involved to repair all the damage done by the floods, was £535 million. Makes you wonder, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
It makes you wonder what game is being played here.
Yeah.
Because we always say it's always about the money.
Follow the money.
And then we get diverted into myths and legends, and we get diverted into fairy stories and fantasies. I mean, I guess you and I probably are not really popular with other than those that are not into the fairy stories and children's entertainment. Because what seems more and more to me obvious is that you are born into this world, and where you come out of is where pretty much the males spend the rest of their life trying to get back in. One way or another, they want to get back in the place they came out of. And their entire lives, or nearly all their entire lives, is spelt is chasing that paradise. But you're born, and we can say you can go to a slave training camp, and of course your parents indoctrinate you into the basics. Slave training camp takes over, and at some point that would be 16, 17, 18 years old, the idea is that you're now of use to the society that you live in. And then it's really live to pay bills all the way through to the end. When you get to the end, and if you've got anything left in today's modern world, they're figuring out how to get it off you before you die. And, you know, there are still people out there, and an annoyingly large lump of people who actually think the sun is bad for them. The NHS is designed to help them live longer, and vaccinations are for their own good. And those people, they have no intention of ever researching any of these things to find out that it might not be the case in all circumstances. Am I trying to knock the NHS, the Death Management Service? Of course I'm not. There's some lovely people working there, and they do the very best they can with what they have. But the services have been taken away. We have on my Facebook page many examples, news stories. All the ones that I talk about are on my Facebook page, and your link will be under there as well. But it's my page that carries most of the news. They're now openly saying that we can't fund treatment for everybody. We've read news stories that a good innings is about 70 years. We're told that we're all going to live to 100 and prepare yourself for it. But this doesn't bear out what we see around where we live.
No.
And going back to the start, you read all these books and you listen to these authors and you realise that they want your money. These authors of these books want to sell these books. So they have to put in these books things that you need or want to hear. They're just fortune tellers, aren't they?
Yeah.
And most fortune tellers tell you all about the past and a little bit about the future. And most books tell you all about the past and a little bit about the future. It's all the same game, depending on what age you are when you're playing it. The internet's a fortune teller. It's a time stealer. It's all the same game. It's whatever... I mean, it's stories that rule the world. And it's the best storytellers that have the power to rule the world. Because we can't stop it, can we? We cannot stop it.
We love a good story.
The reason that we don't have maybe as much support and we don't want it, please don't think we're asking for it. We don't want your money, we don't need your support, we don't need anything, we just do this for our own benefit. And by us doing this, we actually feel that we're teaching ourselves how to move along and where we want to go.
Yeah.
We're not worried about what other people are doing, and we're not actually judge what other people are doing in the way that we say you should or you shouldn't. We just say we would or we wouldn't do that. What other people are doing. The reason most people listen to this is because they don't want to be told what to do. Well, bigger fools us to try. We don't know them, we're never going to meet them, and why should we tell them?
Mm-hmm.
But if they get something they can use, then that's as much as we expect to happen, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
But our stories also end with the you're probably dead at the end. You're probably actually dead. There is no real evidence that we can actually put in the proof box. There isn't.
No.
Now, of course, we measure alcohol and spirits by proof, don't we?
We certainly do, yeah.
But this is the counterfeit spirit. This is the... You get rather brazen and rather brash and rather confident after you've filled yourself full of spirit. Well, what are a lot of people doing who are listening to the myths and legends and fairy tales?
Mm.
They fill you full of spirit.
Mm-hmm.
They top up your soul. They make you think that you're more than you are. It's just another form of alcohol to make you feel bigger and bolder and stronger and faster and fitter.
Yeah.
Because our club, you're born, you learn, you pay bills and you die, isn't a very exciting one, is it?
Not really.
Not really. Despite the fact that all the evidence is around us that pretty much how it is, unless you want to do more than. And of course we've got an entire level that their ability is being capped. The capability is not the superhero cape that they thought it was going to be. We thought we lived in a society where we can be all that we want to be, but there is a level that we can't get out of. There is a box that, the lid stays tightly shut, and that's actually climbing up the classes, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
A few people escape this bottom feeding level, but mostly we stay where we're put, don't we? Because school teaches classes, because it puts us in classes.
Mm-hmm.
And the word wisdom on 1D code is English class. And we know it's a caste system.
It definitely is, yeah.
We really are just characters in somebody else's story.
Yeah.
We really are just characters in somebody else's story. Is it doom and gloom? Of course it's not. I've enjoyed my life.
Mm.
And after a little bit of a rough start, I've enjoyed this bit as well.
Yeah, I'm enjoying this bit, yeah.
So I've enjoyed it.
Mm.
But I realised that I learnt a little late.
Yes.
I learnt a little late, and I believed a lot of things that I was told that I should have checked. I really should have checked.
Me too.
Now, we accept that our kids, they maybe don't have the same choices as us.
No.
And the same opportunities.
I can definitely
and financially, they're going to find it a little bit more difficult.
Yes.
But that's because... Have we prepared them for the future? And the answer is we didn't know to do it. We thought school was doing it, didn't we?
Yes, we did, yeah.
We thought education would prepare them for the future.
Do it, yeah.
And, we look around now, and we've got to sort of admit some tough points here. In the city that we live of Ripon, do we need more hairdressers? No. Do we need more beauty salons? No. Do we need more fast food establishments? No. Do we need more pubs? Do we need more restaurants? Do we need more banks? Do we need more charity shops? Do we need more building sites?
No.
But we're getting them anyway. Those are the shops that are coming. If you see what I mean.
I do, yeah. Mm.
So it doesn't matter whether we need them or not. This is what the people who are looking to get paid, this is what they know to do. In other words, society's made too many of the same thing. So we all end up doing the same thing, which of course is another way of bringing us all down to the lowest, who'll do it the cheapest.
Mm-hmm.
This is a race to the bottom. Who will do it the cheapest? And the established businesses who don't have the same level of debt as a competing business might have over the road, the established business will still survive, but not without the dilution of the competing businesses. But the competing businesses are going to be drowned by debt.
Mm-hmm.
Because all the businesses that I've actually mentioned, Ripon doesn't need any more. But that hasn't stopped them, has it?
No.
Still they come. Every shop gets filled with one of those types of businesses.
Mm-hmm.
So still they come, and still they fight for an ever-decreasing circle or cycle of revenue.
Yeah.
Is Ripon growing in population? No. Are we building new houses? No. Do we need them? No. Is there demand for houses? No. So the carpets and curtains and kitchenware, your roofers and your plasterers and your plumbers and your sparkies, we've got enough. So what are we going to do? What are we going to say to our children? Because of everything that we see as what we had the opportunity to be, we have enough of them.
Yeah.
So whatever one of those occupations gets paid now, it is ridiculous for us to expect our children will get the same.
Yeah.
Because the chances are they'll get less.
Mm-hmm.
We know these things now.
Yes.
But we didn't know them then, did we?
But that comes with experience, doesn't it? It comes with the experience of life.
And now we know why old people don't seem to have that anymore. Because they haven't read, and what they have read has been 50 Shades of Grey. They've watched TV, and they have been, like everybody does, and nobody admits it, looking after themselves.
Yeah.
We live in a world of hunters and the hunted, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, yeah.
There's the hunters and the hunted. Which are you?
I know I played the game of Hunter, and that was a rigged game, and I didn't realise there were two other salespeople that I was competing with, because it's always a competition between your sales
but
figures.
we like competing. We like look at Facebook.
Yeah,
we like competing.
We do.
But on Facebook, it's easy to compete because you can tell lies,
yes,
pretend to be bigger than you are, and say anything you want, and the person you're competing with, can't physically come and challenge you.
No.
So, unfortunately, Facebook is a counterfeit competition. But we like competing.
Yeah.
We're programmed to compete.
You do, and but you're competing in a rigged system, and I didn't realise until I'd actually left the company that I found out.
But you're working for somebody else's dream.
I was working for somebody else, but I was working against the other two salesmen who their sales figures were better than mine. And it wasn't until you left the company and went to work for somebody else you found out that they were giving the buyers who were buying the product from them brown envelopes. And I wasn't privy to the person at the top that you went to and said, I need a brown envelope for Joe Bloggs for his business. That never came to me, but I was the stooge. I was the one that they beat all the time to get the business in, and your business you're not doing as well. But I realised my business that I had, that I was bringing in, wasn't costing them any money. I was keeping the other two salesmen at where they were, because my sales figures were genuine sales figures. It was what I'd brought in without bribery. The other two had learnt the system and who to go to for a bribe.
Most people who've never been in business actually think they know about business, and they don't. And even if you've done a business class at school, even if you've done an accountancy degree or whatever, you don't know how business works. Business works on personalities and payments.
It does, yes.
Some recorded and most not.
Mostly not, no.
Okay. And there's two sets of accounts for most businesses.
Yep.
Those that are presented for tax purposes and the others. And that's how the government does it, and that's how most businesses do it.
Yep.
And it's just the way things are done. Now, I've had a full tax investigation, and that wasn't pleasant. But I got through it.
Yeah.
Paying nothing. And that teaches you. That does teach you.
Yeah.
But you get through it. You get through it. Because the real truth is that it's the grey economy that keeps the society bound together.
It does, yeah.
It's the corruption that keeps us together. The grey economy, it's called. But actually, it's the corrupt economy.
Yeah.
It's I won't tell on you, because that means you'll tell on me.
You'll tell on me, yeah.
This is what binds, particularly the non-working class, together.
Yeah.
They're up to no good, but they know they're up to no good.
Yeah.
And the way to actually elevate in their system is to be good at being up to no good.
Yeah. Dickens was a perfect example of explaining all that, wasn't he? That's the perfect Oliver Twist, isn't it?
Of course it is.
It's Fagin and Bill Sykes, and they both complemented each other, but were both rogues, and that is business. That is just
because this is piracy.
It is piracy. Yeah,
it's a con. Okay, together piracy.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a connected, contriving, conniving piracy.
Yep.
Conspiracy.
Mm-hmm.
These are pirates of the high seas.
Yeah.
SEIZE.
Yeah.
They don't do any work, but they make all the rules. And when they run out of money, they up the taxes or spend your children's taxes. Because they need to spend your money so they can get paid. And when you run out, they keep stealing it off other people, and that's how socialism works. Absolutely fine until the money runs out. You've lived in a socialist system your entire life, but nobody will admit that. But this is a communist system. Well, it is on another level, yeah. But this is a fascist system, yeah. All the isms are in play. It depends what level you're at.
It is, yeah, and it's a perfect edging. That's just perfect way of edging your bets, isn't it?
Well, we have communists blaming capitalists and capitalists blaming socialists.
Yeah.
It's a genius system, isn't it?
Yeah.
We do all the work, okay? The people above us make all the rules and keep all the profit. The people below us don't produce anything, don't do any work, and get paid. We're the nuggets in the middle that actually pay for everything.
We are, yeah.
We are the filling for the sandwich. When we first started this journey together, I remember we actually thought that there was some value in everybody.
Yeah.
But the real truth is more unpleasant than that.
Yeah,
the real truth is that everybody can have a value.
Yes.
But only if they actually have earned it. Now, it's not necessarily monetary, but unskilled, unemployed, unloved, and unhappy is what we kept finding, wasn't it? We kept finding lonely people that the system had broken.
Yep.
And the system doesn't need them.
No.
It doesn't matter how loud they shout. The system doesn't need them. And yet, you and I both know deep down that they won't help anybody until they've got enough money for themselves. The first and only thing they're interested in is, are you going to help me? And you say, I'll help you, but you have to help me. And they say, oh yes, I'll help you. I'll tell you how to do this, and I'll tell you how to do that, and I want you to pay me. See how that works?
Yeah.
The people above us look down on us, and the people that have nothing think they're equal to us.
Yeah.
That's sort of how that works. It's not that they're not equal. It's just that they haven't saved themselves. They haven't earned anything. They have no capacity to earn anything. And this is all about it's not a sat-earn system.
No.
But they are sat-earning.
Yes.
But they're not earning, are they? The one above us are sat-earning.
Oh, yes, they are, definitely
Okay, they're sat-earning.
Yeah.
They have meetings deciding how to make more money out of us.
Yeah.
But the ones below, they're sat, but they're not earning. Satan. Saturn. Satan. It's the same. It's all decoded properly. It all works out exactly how it should. The language is how we've been programmed. And people will not accept it. And the people who won't accept it are the ones that use the biggest words. Why do they use the biggest words? Just to show off.
Basically.
Just to show off, that's all it is. It's just to make you feel small. The bigger words they can use, the smaller you're meant to feel. I read the Protocol of the Elders of Zion this week. It's only about a 70-page book. It's about 24 different protocols written about 100 years ago. And it's basically how the rulers of the world, the Jewish banking cabal, how they're going to how they run the world and how they intend to take it over. Is it genuine? Doesn't matter. Is it fake? Doesn't matter. Good read. Unfortunately, I had to read it really slowly. It's got loads of words that I wasn't quite sure about. So I had to get the Dictionary of Aries, and I had to set the Station of Aries, and take my time working it out.
I know it annoys you, and you think, well, why didn't you just say that? Why didn't you just say it how it is? Whereas after about 4 or 5 big words in it that nobody understands.
But that's the idea, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
You see, we would often... We wouldn't embarrass yourself at one point by saying, excuse me, could I just take you back to what you've just said there?
Yeah.
And could you please tell me what that actually means? Because that makes you look less than.
Yeah.
I mean, we were having a chat with a guy called, was it Niall Murphy, I think his name was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
What was his... It was about self-teaching, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I can't remember what word he used. He used it a couple of times. It's about self-help, self-learning, teaching yourself type thing. And yet that was obviously his word of the day. Kept blooming saying it. Was it? I can't remember what it was.
I remember working for a farmer, and
not a pharmacist.
No, not
an assist farmer.
See,
farmers who assist are called pharmacists.
He had a farm.
They medicate the cattle.
Yeah, he had a farm, but he rented it out, and it was sort of semi-retired, really. But I was chatting to his wife, and she does a lot of charity work in the mental health field. And
don't get me going about them.
And anyway,
you know what I think about psychologists and psychiatrists.
They were sat in a room, and on this trustees of this charity that looks after mental health issues, there was a QC there, and there was the farmer's wife, obviously, and there were a couple of other people there in this room, and they were all having a talk, gone to listen to this person talk about mental health issues, and how they could benefit and better the system and make it a better system, and she said he prattled on for about an hour and 20 minutes, and then it came to the questions at the end, and nobody had any questions, and he actually said to the people, he said, I'm surprised we've got no questions. And he said, have you not really grasped what I was saying? And the farmer's wife said, no, not really. And she was the only one that said, no, not really. So he went back then and explained and broke it down into terms that she could understand. And she said, thank you, that's... Oh, and then she came up with instances. Oh, yeah, there's so-and-so, and he's an alcoholic, and we can't get him out, and he's trying to take his own life, blah, blah, blah. And she would explain it to me. And at the end, when they'd all gone, they were going home, the QC came up to her and said, I'm glad you said you didn't know what you were on about, because I didn't have a clue what you were on about either.
The QC.
But he didn't have the balls to say, no, I'm sorry, I don't understand, because he'd have felt small. It had made him feel small.
And is that how we actually lose all the time?
Exactly, yes.
You know, I mean, there's loads of advisors out there about going into court, isn't there? Everybody is a bar lawyer. And they're not called bars by mistake. I mean, we stand at the bar. I mean, we've been to a pub where they were physically at the bar playing lawyers. And it makes you wonder if, is there some connection there why it's called a bar? And I think that's possibly true. Because I can remember in every pub I've been in, once you get chatting to someone, they always know, don't they? They always know what the rules and regs are. There's a solicitor and lawyer and barrister in every bloody pub. No qualifications, but there they are for you. You know? And this is what happens, isn't it? We get intimidated. It's a big, impressive-looking church. But we don't see it as a church. We see it as something different, something we have to attend. We've been summoned, and we must attend. And I mean... I've not actually been, and I don't really actually look forward to having to go. But you've got to ask yourself, if you're the only mug that's made to tell the truth in there, what game do you think you're playing? Okay, you're playing idiot. You're playing idiot. I mean, people say lose the name, and I understand how the name can be the deceit. It is the stereotype. It is the two you. The inside and the outside you. Inside your house, you feel comfortable and relaxed. Outside your house, the world is a stage, and you're just a character in it. And this story has been written well before you got here, and you can get to be an extra. That's all you are. And that's only if you're actually taking part in the show. Most people are watchers. Most people are watchers, and they're basically the support staff, and they build the props, supply all the costumes, clean up, wash and feed, and provide for the show itself. Not only have they paid for it, serviced it, then they go buy the tickets and actually watch it. The whole show can't exist without them. no part of the show generates any money at all. It all comes from the people who actually provide the service itself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's a long time old, that story. But the lose the name idea, it sounds great, and it actually almost halfway makes sense. But then you can't register for anything. You can't get anything.
No.
No bank account. No driving licence. Don't believe you can drive without a licence, believe me. Don't believe. Try it, okay? And then find out how much it's going to cost you. Because without a driving licence, you haven't got insurance. You're looking at hundreds of pounds and a ban.
Yeah.
Okay, but by all means try it.
And if you get caught again, you go to jail.
Yeah, by all means try it. I mean, please do.
I know, cause
but we know somebody very well who we don't keep in contact with him because we suspect that he's a charlatan. And I won't say the name because I can't prove he's a charlatan, but suspect nevertheless. And this is somebody who is well spoken on the subject of how to live for free. Yeah, who went to court, lost 100 hours community service, 300 quid plus fine for driving the car without insurance,
and lost the car.
The car was impounded. The fine was added to what he previously owed, and he still claimed he'd won. And this guy is still talking about how not to pay your bills and live for free.
Yeah.
Now, I fully understand that this system is, in many ways, exactly the opposite of what we should have. But money's been around for thousands of years. It is, it's a medium of exchange that we can trade and give value to. Money's not going away anytime soon. No way. Money's going to change to energy, which is going to change to in-out.
Yeah.
Energy in, energy out.
Yeah.
That's what's coming.
Allowances.
This whole system is built on energy. In, out. You know, this is energy, kilojoules, what is measured on food, particularly, is measured in calories. Well, we get paid salaries. Okay, it's not that it's that different. It's just that the S and the C are interchangeable in this language.
Yeah.
You know, like slice and precise. The S and C change to fool us. We never... I've said this many times, but I'm going to try and say it a different way. The witches and wizards that we're taught about when we're young and we read about in the books and we find spellbinding, the witches and wizards, they don't have pointy hats and pointy nose and long cloaks anymore. Oh, no. No. The witches and wizards, we know, use spells. And we know what spells are, because words are made up of spells. So we know that witches and wizards use spells. And those spells are designed to confuse us and create a magic where we fall under their command and do what we're told. And yet people still can't believe it's the language that you and I are speaking now. It shows how far away that we've come from actually anything substantial, solid and real in the world. I get people lying, I get people saying to me, once I state the world is called a world because it actually spins. It actually was noticed that it whirls, and it's called a world. And people just laugh. And you realise that this isn't going to go very well. And you think, why have we got the word female? And that's because she's going to cost him. It's whatever he's going to give. But the word female, okay? The word, she's going to cost him some money. It's just what's he prepared to give for it. Because he's going to negotiate, which is courting. You know, this is they negotiate the terms and conditions of which they're going to set sail together.
Yeah.
Or on which they're going to ride into the sunset. She's the bridle, and he's got to harness her energy so he can saddle her, rein her in. That's the game that's been played here, and the language clearly tells us this is how it works. But no one believes it. It's not like that now. Like something's changed. The only thing that's changed is the fascination of the idiots who believe anything else. And the storytellers, they rule the world. The best storytellers have the power to rule your world. Whose stories are you listening to, huh? Whose stories are you listening to? Because I think I know who it is. And I'll let you know who... Well, this is who I think they are.
Here's to the warmongers, the criminals, the liars, the psychopaths, the wolves in sheep's clothing, the ones who have no integrity. They're not fond of responsibility, and they have no respect for your rights. You can vote for them, disagree with them, glorify or vilify them. About the only thing you can't do is ignore them, because they have the guys with the guns, and they can have you arrested and thrown in a cage. While some may see them as responsible leaders, we see evil, because the ones who are insane enough to think that they can rule the world are always the ones who do.
Right, welcome back. Our last, we're talking about another 20 minutes, just over the hour, I think, this evening.
Yep, sounds good.
Jo's in the background, coughing her heart out, bless her. She has got headphones on this evening. She says she's going to join us eventually, pick up the microphone and join us. Jo's our third musketeer.
She is.
I met Jo again for the first time for nearly 30 years, about 20 months ago now. So about 22 months ago, something like that. We hadn't seen each other really to chat to for about 30 years. We only met briefly sometime about 20 years ago, wasn't it? And yeah, you couldn't actually believe how different I was. But I want to save that conversation for your first conversation, because you did say that at some point in the future you're going to sit here and talk about it, and that'll be the first time, I hope, that you'll sit with that microphone, and you'll tell me in your own words how you got where we are today. And I won't try and butt in. I'll try and mind my own business. So I hope you do that soon. I hope that comes along soon, because it's all right putting all this information in, but the reason we do this is to see what it sounds like on the way back out.
Exactly, yeah.
Because if you can't share this stuff, you're not going to make a difference to much. The first thing you have to change is yourself, and it's quite a daunting process.
Yep.
To actually accept that you've been duped, you've been scammed, you've been lied to, you've made every decision on the basis of what you've been duped, scammed and lied to about, and there's no wonder that the majority of people come out as losers.
Yeah.
Because
that made me think of, at the weekend, went out for a couple of beers. It was wife's birthday, so we just went out to the pub, had a few pints, and the lady behind the bar ordered the beers and the crisps and the nuts, and she working it out in head. And they've got one of these tills in the pub that we go to where you punch all the details in and it tells you how much it is.
It's itemised, though.
It is, yeah.
It's all itemised. Bag of crisps, bag of nuts,
whatever, yeah. And then they turn round and say, oh, it's £6.40, please.
Yeah.
The lady was asking for the money before she went to the till. She's working it out all in her head. And I noticed it the first time I got the drinks, went back. On the second time I went back, ordered second round of drinks, and I said, it's nice to see you can work that out in your head before you go to the till.
Right.
And I said, there's been a lot of people work behind this bar and they can't do that. And I said, have you seen the new way that they're showing the kids how to add up and take away? And she says, I have. She said, you think that's bad? You ought to see how they're teaching them how to do long division.
Yeah, no, it's ridiculous.
And
it takes them ages. Now, on my Facebook page is an example of how simple. Well, this is actually a minus, but an addition is done the same way, by the way.
Is it?
It is exactly the same
Crackers.
way. And on my Facebook page is called, it is the way that our children have been taught, and it shows you how far away from reality we are now, because the actual math sum on here is 32 minus 12, and we would put the 32 on the top and put the 12 below it.
Yep.
And then starting on the right-hand column, 2 minus 2 equals 0, and 3 minus 1 equals 2.
Yep.
The answer would be in just 2 steps.
2 steps,
Two steps, one line, we'd get to 20.
Yep.
But the children have been taught, just to do this sum using numbers up to 10. In other words, you try and turn everything into an addition. That's the idea. So they look the new way that the kids have been taught, and this has been taught right up to secondary school age, by the way. And then they change it in the secondary school and completely cock them up again.
Confuse them again.
Yeah, completely cock them again.
Yeah.
And this is, we start off with the lower number 12, and the plan is that we're going to get to 32. Okay, so we have to start off, and we're not allowed to use a number bigger than 10.
Right.
And we try and get it to the nearest 5. So we do 12 plus 3 equals 15. So we've got it to 5. Now we know 15 plus 5 is 20, so we do 15 plus 5 is 20.
Yeah.
So now in our middle column we've got a 3 and a 5.
Yeah.
Now we realise that we can do tens as well, because this is really a 5s and 10s number. So 20 plus 10 is 30. So now in the middle column we've got a 3, 5 and a 10. And 30 plus 2 equals 32. So we've got from 12 to 32 in 4 easy steps. And we add 3, 5, 10 and 2, and we get the magical number of 20. 4 steps to do that math.
sum.
Okay?
Which should have only taken you 2 steps.
Well, the thing is that this is actually a really good system where you'll never be able to recognise or really work with a number bigger than 10. Because what you're doing is all the numbers that are bigger than 10, you're reducing the differences down to 10. Now, if I say to people this is a say 10 system, right, you would laugh at me, wouldn't you? You would laugh at me, wouldn't you? But
I've just got what you meant.
But let's have a little think about this system. Okay, we had a perfectly successful method of how to do this math sum. Yeah? And the word sum is S-U-M. But it's the same in the word S-O-M-E. It's still going to be a quantity. Okay, it's still sum.
Yeah.
It's
Do you want some?
exactly.
Yeah.
It's still a quantity. It's still a numerical or a weighed quantity of something. Just because it's spelled differently. These are the spells that fool us. And yet they're right in front of us, but we cannot hear, and we mostly never ever see it.
No.
We never see it coming. You've heard that they're so proud of themselves, our controllers, that they hide it in plain sight.
They do. Yep.
And they do hide it in plain sight.
Yep.
None of what we discover and what we're happy to believe is currently what we think is the closest we've got to the truth has ever been hidden from us. Ignorance is actually no excuse, because it's no longer hard to prove any of this. And when I say prove, I mean prove today. If something's introduced to me tomorrow that makes as much sense or more than I already have, I'm going to change my mind. But what are you going to do? Or are you going to make it fit like a bit of a jigsaw that doesn't belong there? But you want the jigsaw to be easy, so you make it fit. You actually cut a few corners and ignore the edges and make it fit. Everyone does that. Unless you know you're doing it. Then you stop yourself doing it, don't you?
Yeah.
We're both clocking the half century, you and I. We're not far off now at all. Would we be able to understand, almost laugh at this stuff, and would we have the experience to understand any of life's difficulties, obstacles, hurdles and fences? And the answer is no. Because we've actually been able to change careers a number of them. We've careered about, haven't we?
We have careered
We've
about,
careered from one thing to another. Just like the pinball wizards that the Doctors Who are looking to exterminate us as and when they can get away with it.
Yeah. On the sloping table.
We have, absolutely. And all you've got is your flippers to save yourself.
Yeah.
It is a whole game. It's fun for them. This is the house of fun for the madness that runs it, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
It really is.
Definitely, yeah.
You know, when Madness is singing, I've been driving in my car, it's true. Because your persona is the vehicle. You are your carriage.
Yes.
You know, how you carry yourself is how you choose to carry yourself. The word is when there were times when we carried ourselves a little better than we do today. Because we've lost respect for ourselves, haven't we? Because we wouldn't put up with this. The maths that I've just described how it's been done in primary school. Remember, primary school is where you learn the primary things.
It's the basics,
okay,
yes.
to read, write and arithmetic, as they used to say.
Yep.
That's your primary education. Your secondary education is all the other stuff that you find you didn't actually need. You didn't actually need that. You wanted to enhance what you were doing at 11, but they went and confused it.
Yeah.
Through 11 while 16. The teachers, which we don't hear when we say it, we actually ask, we consent, teachers.
Yes, we do. Yep.
We do say, these are teachers. And we don't hear it. And people who are listening to this will still smile and say, hey, these guys, they just make it up as I'm not making any of this up.
No, that's
say it to yourself.
That's how we say it.
Say it to yourself. Yeah, I'm not making it up. I'm asking you to consider how do you think you've been programmed? How do you think the teachers have actually been programmed to do this? I'm asking you to consider that the people who decree that this is how we do things, I'm asking you to ask yourself, are these people qualified to actually make decisions on education and our foreign entanglements and our health service and our welfare systems? Are any of these people, do they have any qualifications for any... is their background anything to do with anything like this? Because there's one thing for sure. Whatever post they get in the cabinet, that'll be the business that they move into when they get chucked out of office.
Yes.
But before then, they usually groan for purpose. Looking at the last Labour cabinet, which I know you now know once supported, and now know you understand the scam, and that's how it worked for you. You saw the corruption, the deceit, the lies that they were.
The lies, yeah.
You know, they can be so proud of themselves that they really brought it a long way on, didn't they?
They certainly did, yeah.
In the Labour cabinet, at the point of them going to the election last time round, 2010, only 2 members of the cabinet had ever had a job at all. And one was a bloody postman, and the other one was a bar steward on a bloody ship. The rest had never worked in what we call the real world at all.
I thought they were all bar stewards myself. No, what they're not. Now.
Well, we know one thing: they're drinking in a ship of sorts, aren't they? This is the ship of state they're sailing as. I mean, this is battleships, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
This is state battleships with borders all over the place. Unfortunately, if we want to call our ship of state a ship, we're being sunk. This is an invasion.
It is.
I am not against immigration. The borders are wide open.
They are, yeah.
Anybody who wants to come here is guaranteed house, income, and as much help and more help than most people who live here get to find a job.
Yeah.
The numbers are whatever the government say they are, which means they aren't. Okay, the population is appearing to grow simply through invasion. Am I racist? No. Do I think immigration in controlled numbers is something we need? Yes, the birth rate is falling. The birth rate of this country and a desire to work is falling dramatically. The one thing that I do know about the people who come into this country, the majority, they want to work. They'll do the jobs that Jeremy Kyle contestants won't.
Yes.
That's something that we have to look at here. Jeremy Kyle contestants are white, overweight, and feckless. The women have got children, and the fathers have walked away. Their entire ambition is to appear on Jeremy bloody Kyle. We have to accept that this safety net, this cotton wool existence, this institutionalised padded system, it allows people to exist and produce nothing. Which means over time, it'll just produce more people who are allowed to exist and produce nothing. And of course, that'll be brought to our attention in the future, and we'll be given the choice to vote whether we should sterilise them. And then you find out that, well, that's what the Hoyders do.
They did, yeah. During my working day, I listened to Radio 4, which is the Middle England. It is the BMW driving golf club membership.
The soon-to-be poor middle class.
Yes.
The ones that are actually imagining that they're still rich.
That they're still
the ones
rich
that are still going to the restaurants.
And they're going to be looked after.
Yes. The ones that are going to be first off the edge of the cliff when the system's done with them.
Yeah. A barrister on today, and he said, just going on about the MPs and not had a job, he mentioned Grayling, is it?
It's Grayling.
He's now the Justice Minister, took over from Kenneth Clarke. He says he knows nothing about the law, and he's in charge of us all.
But that's why they're put in charge.
Exactly. That's
because they sit there, right, pinching themselves in the mirror every day, thinking,
I'm
cannot
doing a
believe,
good,
right? But they're at the mercy.
I'm doing a good job. Yeah.
Yeah, but they add advisors. In other words, they can only see where they're shown to go.
Oh, yes. Oh,
These are,
and
this is
reading
the circus.
scripts that are written for them.
Exactly. This is the circus, which is another name for a race course.
Yes, yeah.
Right, this is the advisors who show them where to go.
And the
Because
advisors don't change.
They never change.
They never change. They're
the spin doctors.
They're
Spin doctors. The ones that know the bigger plan. We have to understand that these MPs, they don't all know the bigger plan.
No.
They are, just imagine yourself given a job that you're not qualified for and didn't deserve. Then imagine that you're qualified for nothing and the only thing that you have is bloody privilege. I mean, George Osborne, I think the only job that he ever had before was working on a parliamentary committee advising on BSE. The next bloody thing is Shadow Chancellor, and now he's in charge.
He's in charge of the coffers.
That's it. That's all his history and background is. These people are not qualified and not serving out, but they don't serve us.
No, they don't. They serve themselves.
They serve themselves. These are pigs in the trough.
They are.
Who are being advised by those that know exactly what the bigger plan is. Currently reading What Happens Next by Vernon Coleman. It's a book written in 2009, just 12 months after the collapse. I've read it too late. I should have read it 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
It would have given me a jolly good vision into where we are today.
Yeah.
But I'm speed reading it now. And he makes the claim that the politicians really don't have a clue what's going on.
And I read his earlier book. Can't remember what that one's called now, but I read that book, and that was after the event.
Bloodless Revolution.
Bloodless Revolution,
yes.
Yeah.
We've got that, actually, yeah. Well,
have
a look through there. There's some good quotes in there, isn't there?
Yeah, get a chance to read that book if you can, Bloodless Revolution. And like you said earlier, I didn't agree with everything he was saying,
but his conclusions at the end are a bit dreamy.
Yeah,
but at least it gets your mind
it
exercised.
But one of those has come to fruition, as the barrister said today. And he did say what we are now, this austerity, this illusion of austerity that we're in, and one of the things that we're losing because of the austerity is the legal aid, along with the NHS.
It's gone.
And our
gone.
rights.
Legal aid's gone.
It's gone, yeah, and it's gone.
And it's not coming back.
It's not coming back, no. And this is a system. If you can't afford to buy it, you can't have it. And it's going to go, like we said, to allowances. They will take away the money. That's why it's called tax credits. It's
called revenue.
It's called because
they're having it back eventually.
Exactly, they're going to have it back. You're in credit with them.
Yep.
And you're notching up a credit side which is in the red.
And you're going to do what you're told.
Exactly, you're going to have to do exactly what you're told.
Yeah.
And just as you and I have to do as we're told, but at least we've got a little bit of a choice where we spend our money and trying to avoid legal aid. We don't want to be using legal aid.
Going to court means you've lost.
Well, I've got
the minute you enter a plea, okay, you're accepting the crime has been committed.
Yeah. Well, I've got an opportunity to go to court through me. I had my trailer stolen a while ago.
All right,
and that's going to. They caught the lads, but they didn't catch him with my trailer. But I'm going to be called to go to court to give evidence. So I'm really looking forward to that.
I'm going to have the day off. I'm coming with you.
Come with us, yeah.
Just to experience the whole experience itself.
But it'll only go to court if they plead guilty. If they plead not guilty, I suspect they'll plead guilty. I don't know. It's usually the case that they say plead guilty, you'll get a slap on the wrist and community service, blah blah.
Well,
blah.
if they have nicked it, I mean, yeah, it makes sense actually.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I may not get to go, but when the letter came through, I thought, wow, this is going to be fun. I'm going to enjoy this. I'm going to go pin my ears back and listen.
You see, the majority of the justice system is about righting wrongs.
Yes, it is.
Okay, but listen to the words. Okay, it's putting right wrongs, but that starts with an RIGHT.
Yeah.
What happens if righting wrongs starts with a WRIT?
Yeah.
You see, it's not daft, is it?
No.
The minds that have invented what we live in today are vastly superior to ours.
They are.
Now,
it's commerce, though, isn't it? It was designed for commerce.
Yes.
It was designed for trade.
this is a maritime admiralty system of law.
Yeah.
It's the law of the sea.
Mm-hmm.
And we do not understand and will not accept that SEE is the same as SEA.
Mm-hmm.
We will not research and would never accept the language we have today, really in its modern form, is just over 250 years old.
Mm-hmm.
We still won't accept that
No.
either. We won't accept that this language has been designed so we can do business,
Mm-hmm.
so we can become commodities and corporations.
Yeah.
So eventually, everything we do can become monetized
Yeah.
and thereby taxable.
Taxed. Yes.
That's the
This is
idea.
it. Yeah.
Okay, and nobody will tell you this because hardly anybody we've ever heard actually speaks like this.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, once you actually get rid of the distractions and walk your own pier, instead of peering up,
Mm-hmm.
you finally realise that the theatre, the fortune teller, and the gaming machines were just to slow you down.
Yeah.
You thought a pier was for you to play on, when actually it's for you to get in a little deeper to see how this game works.
Mm.
But you didn't realise the difference between the two piers was just eye.
Yeah.
You never figured it out, did you? Never once. We have been given a bad education,
Yes.
and
definitely.
we have to virtually throw that away.
Yeah.
And we have to accept that all we knew and all we believe to be true, in most part, is false.
Yeah.
Apart from the reading and writing, which we now know that we were given a second or third year level.
Mm.
In other words, once we could read, that was good enough.
Yeah.
We never got told where the words came from,
Nope.
why the words existed,
Nope.
and why they were called what they were called.
Mm-hmm.
We never got told what a day meant. We called everything day.
Mm.
And a number of days are days.
Yes.
And we never heard the word D-A-Z-E.
Sure.
We never heard the word W-H-I-R-R-E-D. But we knew we were in a circle, a cycle, and we were talking
A
in a
spin.
roundabout sort of way.
Mm. Yeah.
And the doctors were the spin
Yes,
doctors,
spin doctors.
or the doctors who decide who gets exterminated.
Mhm.
We never figured it out. Because really, we never got our intelligence, our common sense intelligence, the feeling and knowing part,
Mhm.
never got past the second or third year.
No.
Because we didn't ask questions. So we never got to be why is. We never did. Why is a day called a day? Why is an hour called an hour? Why is a minute called? Why is a watch called? Why is a clock? Why is a week called a week? Why is a month called a month? Why is a year called a year? What does the word name mean? We didn't get anything. We just accepted it.
We do, yeah.
It's
yeah.
a bit like driving a car.
Mhm.
You haven't a clue how it works. You don't know how to fix it. You don't know who made it. But you could drive it.
Mhm.
And that's what we do with this language. We use it, but we don't know who made it. We don't get to change it. We don't update it. And we don't know how it works, do we?
No.
And
We-
that's the language.
We love an insight. We think we have, or you want to get the edge, don't you? Inside edge. You want to be on the inside track.
The knowledge.
The knowledge.
You
Now,
want to knowledge.
I played this game with our children, and I think I've said in other shows that through the early years, the primary school years, we sent them to private school, hoping that they would rub shoulders with people and networking and all this, because we knew we'd figured out pretty much it's not what you know, it's who you know.
It's networking, my
It
friend,
is.
because it's an internet.
It is an internet.
It's an internet work.
Now then, how that came to light, my son was working with me a couple of days last week, and we were sat in the car and having had dinner, we listened to Radio 4, and it came up about this new drug that has come out for breast cancer.
Which is the past tense of drag.
Yes, and they were pronouncing the name wrong. They were saying Roach.
It's Roche.
And it's Roche.
Yep.
And I just happened to mention that as they were speaking. I kept saying it's Roche. It's not Roach. It's Roche. And this is Radio 4 again. And Louis says to me, "How do you know it's pronounced Roche?" I says, "Because Katie, your sister, went to school with Hannah Roche." Yeah. I says, "Well, her family are the part of the pharmaceutical company Roche within England. And he said, "Oh, I didn't know that." I says, "No, you didn't know that because you weren't privy to the conversations that I were privy to in the school playground. Because in those sort of situations, they first ask, 'Oh, what's your name? And what do you do?'"
That's right. Well, everyone does that.
They always want to know.
Yet
what you do.
the people that we mix with,
Yeah.
if we say, "What's your name and what do you do?" They say, "I use so and so from the so and so family," and I actually I don't, because I don't believe in this slave system. Do you realise that everything that we do is opposite to what they're doing? And that's right. That's how it should be. But they've got all the bloody money and the guns.
They have, yeah, and they're still going to have because of this system that we have. And I was chatting with Lewis, and he said, "Oh, I didn't know that." And I said, "No, you didn't need to know that because you were really too young for those things anyway at that time." And I said, "But you didn't get to go to the secondary school. We couldn't afford to put them through the secondary school education in private education.
That's where the real networking comes in.
That's where the real money comes in.
But that's when
you've got to have the cash.
That's where you share the showers. That's where you share the showers, and if it's all boys school and all girls school, you make do, don't you? You make do.
You do.
You know, this is a long way past most people's acceptance. Yeah. Well, and yet people who go to boys schools, you ask them. And it was a male hierarchy. Yeah. And
I got a chance to look round our local ones, because they were invited to go and look round. But this
is where the male hierarchy is developed in those schools. And that's why we have a system at the parliamentary level of cronyism. They employ the people they went to school with. And they employ people less than themselves, so they can still be the one that was in charge. You know, that's why we get a pussy-looking wimp like Osborne, but everybody he employs will be even more pussy-looking and weak than he is.
Well, and it's predetermined. Hannah Roach, she just she came round to our house for parties and things like that, children are normal out there, and then they accept who you are for what you are. And they don't ask any questions and don't need to ask any questions. But she ended up at Cheltenham's Ladies' College, and that was, she'd no choice in where she went. It was all predetermined where she went. Now that's the difference with our kids was the choices were limited because we couldn't. Because we were limited through the expense of it. And that's one of the reasons why we ended up in Ripon, is because they ended up at Ripon Grammar School. And it's still a grammar school, and you still enter the exam. And pass the 11 plus to get in there, and they did, and they got in. But it was a boarding school, and they gave preference to boarders. So
well, listen to boarders.
They ended up boarding school, and
get in on the ship of state. Get in on.
And this is what I said to Lewis. I said, this is why you ended up where you are, and it was because we wanted the best for you. And he realised that at an early age, as he was 14, 15, he realised it wasn't for him. He couldn't do with the airs and graces of it all, and I think that's probably because of the background that he came from, which was predominantly a socialist background and not a conservative background.
He could see it for what he was, but as he gets older, he'll regret. Just as we did, just as we do now. He'll regret not taking education seriously, because if you want to make a difference in this system, you can't do it from the outside.
No, but
you can't.
He's done it himself. He's paid to go to college himself, and he's now a qualified Sparky. So he's done it in his own way, and I'm proud of how he's done that.
What I'm saying is that we can't get back in.
No.
We get our chances to get in.
You do.
We get our chances.
You get
but if you don't get in, and you don't get connected, and you're not part of the network, and you don't have any balls to go to, right, you're not in.
No.
You're not in.
No.
They look down at us. They peer down at us.
They do.
They see us as the very reason that they exist.
Yeah.
They exist to control our methods of production. They make the rules and the taxation.
They do.
They decide what we get and what we don't. We're slaves. But we don't have to remain enslaved in our heads. The first person to free is your own mind. Okay? Now, we're called the mind, but they govern the mind. Govern mente, governance mente. And they speak to the mind. Parle mente.
Yeah.
We're the mind, okay? We are the human resource that they mine from. It's just one analogy, but the language is full of them.
Yeah.
They are the fishers of men. And that's another one. Okay, but the energy is always us. Those that will, okay, that will perform their will are the ones that do the labour exchange. And the genius about the labour exchange is we'll do what they want for paper that they print.
Yeah. There it is in a nutshell.
That's it. It's the genius and the ultimate control. And regardless of who you speak to, regardless of who you listen to, and regardless of what you think the world's like, there is always somebody who will take the money. They will always take the money and do the deed.
Yeah.
Because without it, they will be worse than you. But once they perform the deed, they'll assume status over you. They'll have more than you. They will perceive themselves to be ahead of you. That's why, the very least in society, should there be a puppet of the controllers, will always, always be promoted. You never promote a good worker, because that's what you bred him to be.
Yeah, it is.
You'll always give him a method of actually being able to complain. You'll always set up unions, and you'll always give him representatives, and you'll always, always, always pretend to actually represent his views. And you'll say his voice can be heard, and we're listening, and we're here to make your life better. And it takes a long time to learn, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
A bloody long time to actually learn that they're a bunch of liars. And you, of all people, went through the whole cycle.
I did, yeah.
And you sat home one day on the ablutions.
Yes.
And what did you say?
Is this it?
And you're absolutely
And
right.
I was right, yeah.
We're only two guys from Yorkshire, aren't we?
Yeah.
And we don't profess to know any more than we've learned so far.
No.
But we're happy to share it
We
with
are.
those that want to hear.
Yeah.
We don't want anything.
No.
A couple of comments saying, thanks, guys.
Yeah.
That's all we ever get.
Yeah.
Nobody comments on our videos, and yet we have a few people watch.
We do have a few people, yeah.
And I'm okay with the fact they don't comment.
Yeah.
Because we just say what we see and where we are right now.
Yeah.
And if you listen to what we say and listen to what we're trying to do, we're trying to show you our journey.
Yeah.
This isn't the end times. This isn't how it's going to collapse. World War III, World War IV, nuclear it's not going to happen. If America ever started on China, China would... The war would be over in a week and China would win. It's all a story for you to believe. It's an atmosphere.
Yeah.
It's an atmosphere for you to live in. It's a story. So you believe your government is protecting your borders and your interests. Protect and serve. You now know it's not true, don't you?
Yeah.
You now know they're a bunch of liars.
A bunch of liars, yeah.
They can't protect you and they don't serve you. They only ever turn up after the very event that they promised to protect you from was going to happen. ISIS,
Yes.
the new name for Al-Qaeda. Radio 4 told
Radio
you.
4 today.
Who controls ISIS? Who supplies the
Who
weapons?
supplies the weapon? That was a question asked today on Radio 4, and the guy just came out with it and he said, the CIA.
The cocaine import bloody agency.
Yeah.
The privately controlled intelligence system. The very system that says our work will be done when everything the public believes is false.
Yeah.
We are stupid,
We are.
and it's about time we admitted it. For another Tuesday evening. Thank you for listening. My name's Paul,
Mine's Andy.
and this has been the Unpenned Show. Good night for now.
Thank you.